Good evening, everyone. I'm Nathan, here with my wonderful wife, Laura.
Hello.
And we're here to look at the Bible game from 1983. If you hadn't guessed it, it's a trivia game. As I think a lot of...
About the Bible.
Yeah, a lot of Bible and religious ones are trivia games, and here we are. It's another one.
I think we were talking about this before, we couldn't remember if we had reviewed another kind of religious trivia game, or whether it's still in the house somewhere and we haven't reviewed it yet.
Yeah, well, we've still got a lot of games sort of floating around. What game is versatile enough to cater to all ages, any level of biblical knowledge, provide over 4,000 questions with Bible references?
This game. So we will have a scan of the instructions in the description down below on the off chance that you found this game, wanted to play it, and it didn't come with the instructions.
Because we originally thought it was going to be sort of a basic trivia game, which it is in some respects, but there's actually quite a few bits and pieces in there which we'll get to.
There are 6 game variants. Who knew?
Yeah.
Sort of.
Very loose sort of variants, but so anyway, you get a board.
Which you don't actually need for every version of the game.
Nope. So
we actually probably shouldn't start with the board.
No, we should start with game 1.
So game 1 does not use the board, so it's something, it kind of advertises as being able to go on a road trip or take it camping with you and things like that.
So you basically get your box of questions, and then you've got a score pad, and provided you've got sort of a pen or a pencil, you can pretty much play it.
Yep, that's all you need for game number 1. So you can probably see here, this is not us, obviously these are not our names, this was what came with it, from whoever we bought it from.
Many years ago, I'm assuming.
Yeah, and this is the scorecard. These down the side are the different categories of knowledge about the Bible that is included in the game.
The manual actually explains into each sort of depth, but you can sort of get the gist of what they're going for.
Yes.
The WWW's Who, Why, and Women, I believe it stands for.
Who am I, where is it, and women in the Old and New Testaments.
And then you obviously Life of Christ, New Testament, Old Testament, quotes from the Bible.
Alpha and Omega is basically anything, anywhere in the Old or New Testament, and then general knowledge is general Bible knowledge that may or may not actually be in the Bible. I thought that was a bit of an odd one.
It's kind of 50-50 there.
Now, so for game 1, the idea is to write your name in the top and obviously whoever else is playing with you, and you want to get either one question right in every single category.
So one in Life of Christ, one New Testament, so forth, so forth.
Or in 2 different categories, fill up all 4 squares, all 4 rectangles.
So I could answer 4 of the Life of Christ and 4 quotes, and that would mean I would win the game.
Yes, that's essentially it for game number 1. We use the same cards no matter which game it is. These ones are the trivia questions here. There are some shorter ones you'll notice, which we'll get to.
Yeah, so there's 3 different types of cards. The main, most prominent one are the trivia ones. So you pick it up, you go, okay, Life of Christ, where did the Good Samaritan take the man who was robbed?
And then the answer is on the back, and it has a Bible reference of where you can find it if you want to look up that section. Now you might notice there's A, B, C, D and E on the card. They
actually correspond to difficulty levels.
Yes, so they get harder as they go down. The game says to determine which level you are, like which level you're comfortable with.
What you reckon you are. So A being sort of basic and E being advanced.
Yep. So if I said, I think it's pretty average, I might say I'm at C level.
They recommend that you take the question below what your comfortable level is. So
if I felt like I was comfortable at C,
then I would read out the B question to you.
Don't ask us why. That's just what it says in the instructions.
It also recommends not just sticking to like one formula, to maybe mix it up and sort of expand your...
No, not in game 1. You're getting ahead of yourself. In game 1, you pick one level and you stick to it throughout that whole game. It says like if you're playing this more, then
you can sort of change it up a bit
as you learn more about the Bible.
I mean, I don't really have much else to say about the actual questions themselves. They're exactly what they say, like general knowledge. Like, how many chapters are there in the book of Mark? Alpha and Omega, Reuben and Rachel's oldest son.
No,
Reuben was Rachel's oldest son. True or false? Did Judas hang himself or did he drown? I mean, they're questions about the Bible.
I don't know whether we mentioned, neither of us are particularly religious.
I just have this thing, I think these sort of religious games are interesting.
They're harder to find, so it's interesting to have a look at them.
So, I mean, judging from my extremely limited knowledge, there are quite a few easier questions compared to the hard ones, so I'm sure that if you were just starting out, you probably have...
5 biblical names for the devil. Interesting, okay.
All right. There you go.
Oh my. There's so many more than I ever would have thought.
The evil one, the enemy, the adversary, the serpent. Well, there you go.
Okay, interesting. So that's game 1. Then game 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6 are fairly similar to each other with very minor change.
This is showing my age, but does anyone remember those plug-and-play Pong consoles? And it was like 100 Pong games in one, and you'd flick a switch and it would just change maybe the colour or the slight shape of the ball or thing, and they'd all be very, very similar. Similar sort of things happening here with the variations of games.
Yeah, so we're going to kind of explain it in just general overview across 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and then we'll let you know just what is different at the end.
Sort of a word of note. We have read these instructions several times. They're not as clear as some other games we've read, so
No.
some house rules or maybe some agreements of rules before you start playing, maybe in order before you start playing.
Yes, now the board actually does go up this way, except we can't fit it all on, so we are going to turn it just so that you can kind of see all of it as once. We're not playing this, by the way, because neither of us would ever get any questions right.
No, we would be here. The way to win the standard game, I think, is near impossible unless you had a fairly extensive knowledge of the Bible.
Yes. So if you're going to play game 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6, they all start the same way with you selecting a piece. Nathan has the pieces though, so he's going to have to give those to us. Now they come in this bag, which does have, the camera doesn't want to look at it, but there is a logo there that says the Bible game in the middle. It's seen better days, but again, this is a second-hand copy, so, you know.
From 1983, we might add.
Yes. So, it refers to these as cones in the instructions.
They're not cones.
They're not cones, nope, they're just plain pieces. Obviously, you pick one. You then start with your corresponding colour. So if you're playing as blue, you might start in the blue corner, for example.
It doesn't really matter too much where you start, though, because how you move is unusual as well.
It is indeed. Alright, so then we have these large plastic tokens.
Which effectively are the moving pieces.
I'm not sure if I've got them all. How many is there meant to be?
8, I think.
8. Have I got 8? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Hang on.
There was one around here.
Oh well, we're going with this.
Look, it doesn't really matter.
Alright, so they're all different colours which correspond with a different category of questions each. They
also control which spaces you move on to.
So these go into our bag.
Our bag, yes, our wonderful bag. I don't know why, but it's a bag.
Now, in some of the games, you also add in these smaller tokens.
Which are the difficulty tokens of the questions, which we'll get to.
Don't need for every game.
No.
So, say you were playing, I think it's games 2 or 3. You would just put the big ones in.
Yes.
Yes.
And you stick your hand in, whoever's turn it is, and they go, I've picked, it's a green. So then I would move my playing piece to the nearest green space.
Ta-da!
Hooray!
I then take a question, which are out of reach for me.
Over
I
here.
would take a question for Nathan, if it was his turn. And again, he would have determined what level he was at, so I've also got that on the wrong side. No?
The answer,
That's the quote.
yes.
Sorry, my bad. I was like, that's not a question. So then I would read whatever card I happen to pick up, even if it doesn't correspond with the colour that he landed on. So green, for example, is New Testament.
But you've picked up a quote.
So therefore Nathan gets asked a quote.
So then if I go, okay, I get the quote, let's say I get the quote right. Hooray, yay. I then do not get a tick off in my quotes. No. I get a tick off in whatever space I happen to land on.
So whichever large token. So the green was New Testament, so Nathan will get a tick in New Testament for some bizarre reason, despite the fact he finished a quote.
We actually read this several times, and that's what it says. My recommendation is just to get the tick in whatever question you answered, would be my sort of...
Which is what you do in the game one that doesn't use the board, which makes so much more sense. But never mind, so he got a quote right, for example, but he gets a tick in New Testament because that's the colour he's on.
Now, we also believe, it says you can move up to 3 more times now. But because
if you get the question right.
If you get the question right, we think that means you get to move 3 more spaces.
Yes, it says, move 3 times, which doesn't make sense because that'd be like 3 more turns, but...
So then I can move my token, 1, 2, 3. Oh, look, I've landed on a general knowledge, so if I happen to get whatever question is pulled out right...
So then I will go to the next one. It's a WWW, who am I card.
Let's say...
Even though he's on the general knowledge. Again, I read that. If he gets it right, he can move 3 times again. It seems. It's not really clear about continuing your turn over and over and over, but...
But it says if you get it wrong, you end your turn.
Yes. So presumably if you get it right, you keep going.
So it plays similar to Trivial Pursuit in that way. I think with Trivial Pursuit, if you get a question right, you can keep on going until you happen to get one wrong. But...
Yeah. So in the board game version, it's actually a lot harder to win as well. So you go around the board answering those, and you have to fill out 4 of every category, unless you're playing the short game, which is game 6. So that's a lot of questions you got to get right.
So To get into the middle sort of circle bit here, not the cross, just the circle
This
bit,
loopy kind of area.
you have to get at least 4 points in each of the outer categories here to be able to move into there.
After you've got those, you're allowed to go into the loop section, and then after you've got 4 in each of these categories as well, then you can move into the cross.
To get into the cross...
But then you haven't won yet.
No, to get into the cross, you have to pull out the white token out of your little...
No. So after you're moving around the cross,
yes, then you have to pull out the white...
The big white token.
You pull it out. Let's just pretend I did. I couldn't bother looking for it. Then you'd move in here, and then to win, you have to answer one more question and get it correct.
After getting 4 of every single other category. Oh my.
That's a lot of questions you need to get right.
It sure is. So, you again, throughout that, if you're playing games 2 and 3, you're pulling them out, you're answering the questions, you're moving around, trying to get into the middle. You can do that at whatever difficulty on these cards that you have determined at the start of the game.
Now,
when you then move to games 4 and 5, yes, the little ones that come in 5 different colours,
yes.
A, B, C, D, E.
Then determine the difficulty of each question you happen to pull out.
So then if I pulled out a green, I'd move to green and I'd answer the yellow difficulty.
There's a corresponding chart in the manual which tells you which colour corresponds to what difficulty.
Which will be level A, and that's the challenge version.
Shall we talk about the action and communication cards?
Sure, because they haven't come into play just yet.
So depending on what game you play, you either use none of them, one of them, or both of them.
Yes.
So if I pull a token out of my bag and it happens to be a white one, instead of
large white
token, instead of moving to a colour block, I then take a appropriate action or communication card depending on what game I'm playing.
Yes, so if you're playing game 2, you would take an action card. If you're playing game 3, you can choose either an action or a communication card. If you're playing game 4, you take an action card. If it's game 5, you can choose between the two, and game 6 doesn't mention. So I suppose it's your choice of what you want to include.
The action card is purely action. This one says move to the category, you have the least number of points. I'll just put up a few there.
Which again doesn't really matter. So you could move... Oh no, it does, sorry. Never mind.
Because you can move to the one you needed.
My bad, I keep forgetting how you score.
Person whose birthday is close to the date in which this game is being played receives an extra point in the category of choice. You know, move to a major circle of general knowledge. You know, move 3 spaces. They're all just straightforward. Communication cards are similar, except you generally have to answer some sort of question, which may or may not be biblical or...
They're more like personal thoughts on things. So people who have influenced your life, or 5 things which you are thankful for
God in your life.
Yeah. Now there's actually a way to earn more points in games 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6 as well. So if Nathan had to move to quotes, perhaps, and then I happened to pick up to read to him...
She's trying
a quotes card. Hang on, there's a general knowledge.
You just had one there.
Never mind, you're on general knowledge.
Good.
So if Nathan happened to pull the orange token out, move to general knowledge, and then I picked up his card and it was general knowledge as well.
I get 2 points.
If he gets it right. So it doubles it if the categories match the colour.
And if you happen to be on a circle and the same thing occurs, and I get a WWW card answer right, I get 4 ticks.
Yeah. So that's if they match. If they don't match, you do get 2 points though on the circles, but they are harder to land on because there's only 1 in each corner or 1, 2, 3 in the middle.
The only other game variation you've touched on is game 6, which is the short version. The only thing it really changes is you only need to get 2 check marks in each box instead of 4.
Yeah, which makes it obviously half as long. The only other thing we should mention is to choose who goes first. You take the last letter in your first given names, your first name, but the last letter of it.
Yes.
And whichever one of those comes first in the alphabet, that person goes first.
I don't know, I think that whoever was youngest or something like that, or rock, paper, scissors is good, but...
But yeah, so my name is Laura, so I would take the A at the end of my name.
I'm Nathan, that would be N, so A comes before N, so you would go
I would always go first.
Look, this is an unusual game on how it scores, and... it's just unusual. I think that...
Yeah, it's really weird that what category colour you're on is what you get the point for, but you're answering a question that has no relevance to that whatsoever unless they happen to coincide and match up, which obviously is random.
I mean, you can just change that, house rules and just make it so whatever question you answer, if you get that right, you get that particular point, and if you happen to be on the double...
Yeah, of course you can play it your own way, but that's not how it was meant, so it's just a weird...
And the fact that you have to get into the middle and then get the damn token and then answer a question to win makes
It's hard.
It's you unless you got like some good knowledge, you're gonna be there for a while.
Especially if you're playing one of the ones where you can't determine your own difficulty and you keep pulling out whatever colour E is, the little tokens, white. You keep pulling out the small white token, you're answering the hard ones, and you've got to get 4 in each of the corner categories, then move in and 4 in each of the middle, and then get the white token, which is also random what you pull out of that bag. You could be in for a long game.
Look, I'm just saying, I think this was the only sheet used in this game, judging from the pad.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
So whoever had it before us, perhaps didn't love it.
I want to know if anyone else has played any other Bible or religious games.
There's lots.
We've got quite a few sort of sitting around as well I'd like to get to.
Yes.
I think the one you're thinking of was the Snakes and Ladders Bible game, I think.
Possibly. Someone can let us know. They might already be up on the channel. I'm not sure. If you enjoyed watching this video, give us a thumbs up. Let us know in the comment section down below. What did you ask if there were what other Bible games you remember playing? Yeah.
It doesn't have to be like, Christian or any other sort of ones I'd be interested to hear.
Hit that subscribe button and check back soon. We have videos every single Tuesday.
Sounds good.
Thanks for watching.
Bye-bye.